Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to another episode of Julie Laughton Podcast. Today we're going to talk about mood boards and how they help you visualize your home. And if you're not doing mood boards, if someone's not showing you mood boards, boy, that's going to make it really difficult. So today's all about mood boards, taking your vision, putting it on paper. And before we get started, don't forget to check out the 7 simple steps, because if you really want to know what's going to happen when you remodel and build a home, it's all right there. Very handy little helpful list. Today, we're going to talk about mood boards. I don't know if you know what that means, but I provide the architecture, I provide the interior design, I also provide the interior decorating, and those are two different things, but it's all one at the end of the day. And then I provide the licensed general contracting, and I don't get anything approved at the city without my 5 engineers, my structural, my civil, my soils, and what other engineers are needed depending on the project, Title 24, all that good stuff, fire sprinklers, it's a whole deal. There's up to 7 that we always need. Anyway, so the point is, when you hire a team or a designer to help you visualize what you want before the contractor builds it, the first thing they do is, interview you and find out what you want, because verbally you got to tell them, and then their response is to show you. So what comes out of your mouth goes onto paper, and the first thing we do, and I do, is, of course, I put it on paper in a floor plan, which is 2D. But that's like some clients can't even read that. So the most effective thing that your designer and your architect can do, well, it's a designer that's doing this. The architect does floor plans and elevations and construction details. But the interior designer does is mood boards. And we also call them vision boards. And you might have a board at home with your dreams, wishes and dreams for your career or your family, where you put pictures on the wall and you visualize that until it comes true. So it's the same thing. It's a vision board. It's the same thing as a mood board. So the mood board, the designer you hire, which is your interior designer, puts the samples of all the products that are screwed and glued to the wall first, which is the flooring, the countertops, the cabinets, the sinks, the faucets, the mirrors, the sconces, all the stuff that you're going to install onto the building is first. And then when you pick all that out, after you pick all that out, then we get into soft goods, the drapery, the furniture, the rugs, the artwork, and the accessories. So there's 2 parts to the interior design, the screwed and glued to the walls, and then the finish. And I do all of that, of course. I don't think people realize when they hire me, because I push the contracting so much, that I am an interior designer, and I did nothing but in architecture and interior designer the first 7 years of my career. Every model apartment in New York City was mood boards sold. I would take a mood board and floor plans and present it to the developer one-on-one, and then we'd install it. So how I sold the product was mood boards. So that's how it's done, just so you know. You got to have a visual with a theme, and the mood board creates the theme and the feeling and everything. That's why they call it a mood board. So anyway, it's if you're not doing those, you can do them yourself by simply collecting photographs and cutting things out. But just collecting photographs and circling or marking things is how you actually start the process with me anyway. I have the client pull pictures, and then that gets me going. Then I know what they're thinking without them even telling me. So anyway, it's an amazing process. So after the drawings are done, which are the floor plans, they're the black and white 2D. All the floor plans are drawn with all the cabinets and all the space planning. But what happens is the mood boards are what set the tone. So I know what color everything is and what material we're using on the floor. So then what happens is all those mood boards, all that's decided, and any changes or adjustments to the floor plan and the elevations are done. So then the client can see elevations of all their stuff to scale in detail. And so, of course, that's still black and white. So what happens is the mood boards help transform the plans to accuracy. And then the last thing we do is the 3D photographic rendering. So the client can then see everything they want and everything they selected in a 3D photograph, which we do on the CAD machine, which looks exactly like what we're going to purchase and install. It's like a photographic picture. Before we buy it, before we purchase it, it just shows the client 3D. So the second step of all this is visually is the 3D rendering. And you know how great CAD systems are now. They have the photographic ability that looks like what it is almost exactly. So that's what the final step for the client is, the 3D rendering. And then, and of course, the plans are done and submitted to the city. But the 3D rendering is really what does it for the client. And if you don't have a 3D rendering of the inside and the outside and see what it looks like before the contractor builds it, that's scary. You got to know exactly what's going on because you can't read plans. Clients usually can't read plans and they can't see it. I see everything in 3D in color when I look at the floor plan, so it's not fair for the client because I just assume everybody can see like I can see, but they can't. So you got to realize clients, they can't see jack. They don't understand it unless they see it in 3D. So 3D renderings wraps it all up for the client. So mood boards are really the only way to have a client pick the materials without dragging them all over town to shop, because in the old days, there was more availability of product on the floor and the showroom floors, and there was less places to shop. If you think about it, back when I started, there was design showrooms, and that was it. There was no Restoration Hardware, Pottery, no Wayfair, none of those places online, and there was no catalogs, so you had to go to a showroom or have someone custom make you something. That's where my career started. 35 years ago, almost 40 years ago. So now it's available. All the pictures of everything are available online. So you don't have to go through a showroom. You can pull photos and inspiration pictures everywhere. There's a lot of sources for that. So it's crucial to have the client react to a mood board. And what I do is I do a series of photos for each item to help them decide, because some people don't know what they want. And if they see 5 different cabinets, oh, I like that one. They don't know why they like it, but there you go. And then you fine tune the cabinet after they pick a general picture. It's a whole process because a cabinet, there's like 7 decisions to a custom cabinet after the client says, okay, I like white. Okay, I like that door. There's a million, there's a lot more to do after that. But it's crucial they start with the mood board because clients might not understand the amount of detail that goes into building a custom cabinet, for example, but they know they like the door style and the color. So that's how we do it.
How do you determine what goes on the mood board?
Oh, so the mood boards, we have to take every single thing that's screwed and glued to the walls and put it on the mood board because everything you're selecting has to be approved by the client. So everything so what's screwed and glued to the house, think about it. The floors, the cabinets, the countertop, the backsplash, the cabinet knob, the sconces, the chandelier, the doorknobs, the doors and windows, and anything that client visually needs to pick. And I'm talking the screwed and glued to the wall items. That's the meat and potatoes of the architecture, design, build process. And then after that's all done, then you can go into soft goods, everything from dishes to silverware to furniture to rugs to carpets, drapery and artwork and plants and accessories. So that's a whole nother step. So, but that's what goes on the mood board is everything we select. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Julie Laughton Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Gosh, I can't speak. Anyway, just remember that if you're struggling with what you want and what you like, use photographs. They're called vision boards when you do it personally, but just create your own mood board. You'd be surprised how easy it is to decide what you like and know your style once you start picking pictures. But mood boards are super important, a part of your process. Always know, just because you say it doesn't mean someone understands it. You got to show it, So just remember, mood boards have to be shown to really prove what you want. And it's the easiest way to get through a design process. And don't forget to check out my 7 simple steps. Share it with your friends who might be remodeling or building. And I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.